So this is where, from verse 14 onwards, we start parting way with evangelical Christianity, and as we go on, we'll start parting ways with some of our pioneer writings.
Sorry, we have the same understanding of Daniel 11, 1 through 14.
With most of evangelical Christianity, up to verse 13, everybody's in agreement virtually. When you get to verse 14 onwards, we begin to separate. Adventism and evangelical Christianity part way from verse 14. When you get further into the chapter, we start parting ways. Well, I'll start parting ways from Uriah Smith and conventional understanding of this chapter. Okay? So Rome attacks Greece, the Macedonians. So that's, so you've got the context of what's going on. When you get the context, when you read the verse, you'll start being able to fit those people in. Okay, so that's what's going on in verse 14. Let's read verse 14. It says this: "And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south. Also the robbers of thy people can exalt themselves to establish division, but they shall fall." So let's see what this says. In those times, from 202 BC, after the death of Ptolemy IV. So after his death, in those times, when Egypt was starting to crumble, it says this: "There shall many stand up against the king of the south." So it doesn't say the king of the north is doing this now, it says many. So we know now that there are many, and that many includes the king of the north. So the king of the north has now got support and help to come and destroy the king of the south. Okay? You don't really see that in the verse, it says they. Not they, very many. It says many. There shall many, and then it does say they in the verse. And in those times there shall many stand against the king of the south. And the end of the verse says, "But they shall fall." That's where I am. Idea of the day. So let me tell you who the many are. It's Antiochus, and it's Antiochus III, this one here, number 6, and it's also the king of Macedonia, and his name is Philip V. So, this is the note that I've got for that section where it says, "There shall many stand against the king of the south." Antiochus and Philip V, king of Macedonia, seeing the turmoil in Egypt, conspired to war against it. In 202 BC, the thing that kicks off the war and starts it is Philip takes some of Egypt's garrisons or fortified centres in the Aegean Sea area, because they've got other areas, some of the islands in the Mediterranean, and he captures them, and that's what sparks off the war. And then it says, the next part of the verse, it says, "Also the robbers of thy people shall exalt themselves." Now this term, robbers of thy people struggle with this term. Robbers of thy people. Can you see that in your Bible? Okay, so the first thing we want to tackle is the easy bit. Okay, it says thy people. This vision is being given by Gabriel. Yeah? Gabriel speaking to Daniel. And so when it says thy people, correct? Okay. The thy people, the thy is Daniel. Is everybody comfortable with that? It says thy people. The angel's telling Daniel thy people. So the thy is talking to Daniel. So it's going to be the robbers of Daniel's people, or the nation of Israel. Yeah? The translation for robbers in the King James isn't actually a very good word. It's actually formed from 2 Hebrew words. There are 2 separate Hebrew words, and the translators have joined those 2 words together and just called it robbers. Okay? If you go back in your reading, you'll see that. And the most literal and simplest English translation that I can give of those 2 Hebrew words is this. or children of the nation. That's part one. And the second one is who break and destroy. That's a much more literal translation of that verse. And you can see why the King James translators use robbers, because a robber is the one who comes and breaks into your house and robs you. Okay? But a much more literal translation is the people of the nation who break and destroy your people. Okay? So is everybody okay with that? They understand what I'm saying? So he says this, slipping that understanding into this verse. It says, the people of the nation who break and destroy the nation of Israel shall exalt themselves. Okay? Is that everybody with me? So let me give you my little commentary on this verse. Rome, this is the nation of Rome, exalts itself by intervening in behalf of Egypt against her enemies. Okay, so what happens is that when these two kings, the king of the north, Antiochus, and the king of Macedonia, Philip V, when they go to war against Egypt, Rome interferes in this warfare. So Rome exalts itself and says to these nations, you're not going to fight against Egypt, because if you do, you're going to have to fight against me. So they start interfering, and the Bible says they exalt themselves. And the reason we know who these people are, that it's Rome, is from the next part of the verse, when it says, to establish the vision. Okay, so this idea of establishing the vision, or fulfilling the vision, we don't have the time to actually do a proper study on that, but if we took the time to do that, and understood the significance of this completing the vision and establishing it, we know that Rome is the power that does that. In a very simple sense, we know that at the end of these visions, all of the visions, they all come to their conclusion when you come to Rome. That's a very simple way of understanding about the establishment or the fulfillment of the vision. You fulfill the vision when you come to the end of it. When you come to the end, you see in all the visions, it's always Rome, papal Rome that we know, but Rome comes in two phases. The ones who come to the vision and bring the vision to their completeness. That's what this idea of establishing the vision is. The visions come to the end of their completion or their fulfillment when Rome comes on the scene. Everybody's familiar with that? Okay, so points to the right question.
It's not a specific vision. It's a vision is a specific vision.
Yes, there is. Another question? Go ahead.
I was asking, did you say that because of the structure of Daniel chapter 2, because Rome being the last vision, so
yes,
when it comes to the last kingdom, that's when the vision is established?
Yes. Daniel 2, 7, 8 gives you the structure that these visions are fulfilled. You can only fulfill the vision at the end. Yeah? And the fulfillment of the vision always occurs in the history of Rome. Okay? So that's the point I'm trying to make here.
So Rome came from another general of Alexander?
No. Rome is a totally different nation. Rome is literally from Italy, and it's got nothing to do with any of these.
So I thought that one of them went westward? No, it's not that.
The westward going is not dealing with the history of Rome itself.
And so Rome at that time was already persecuting Israel.
At this stage, Rome is not persecuting Israel. Rome is developing. It's a small nation, but it's developing its strength.
But it says that the robbers of that people shall exalt themselves. So it says that Rome is exalting itself. That's what you said.
Yes, specifically to this verse, the exaltation is to flex its muscles on the stage of the world's history. So the exaltation is not against God's people. In this verse specifically.
Oh yeah, robbers of that people in the future.
They're going to be the people who break God's people in the future.
Yeah.
It's a type of the future.
It's their rise.
It's talking about how they rise, how they exalt themselves, the exaltation of Rome when it comes into the defense of Egypt. Okay. Is everybody with me? Okay. And the reason that they're doing this, on a prophetic level, we can begin to see, I hope, as we go through why they do this. But on a historical level, the reason they're doing that is because Rome gets a lot of its food from Egypt. At this time of Earth's history, the climate's all different, and Egypt was like the breadbasket of the world. So they protected their own food supply and food source. That's one of the reasons why they do that. So in 201 BC, Rome orders Philip of Macedonia to stop engaging in this warfare. By the year 200, in this warfare, Antiochus has regained Palestine. He's regained Palestine. When that happens, Rome declares war against Macedonia and orders the king of the north, Antiochus, to desist war with Egypt. And Antiochus obeys, and he does not pursue into Egypt. He stops where he is, and he just keeps control of Palestine, and he doesn't go any further. And just picking up the last part of the verse, we've already dealt with that. It says to establish the vision, then it says, but they shall fall. And this falling is the falling of Rome at the end of the vision. So, have I got everybody's attention? This is the first time that Rome is brought onto the scene. Okay? And it's important to mark that event. Most Christians don't see that event. If you're going to talk about any evangelism with anybody, anything about this subject, you need to identify that Rome is introduced here in verse 14. Now, quickly, I'm going to speak. Somebody said about this vision. When I said to establish the vision, they said this is a very specific vision. Okay, this vision that's being dealt with here, when it said the vision, okay, the vision that's being dealt with here is the vision of Daniel chapter 8 and chapter 9. They're the same vision. In verse 14 it says, also the robbers of thy people shall exalt themselves to establish the vision. Verse 14. Yeah? The vision that he's talking about specifically is the vision of Daniel chapter 8 and Daniel chapter 9. In fact, what you find is chapter 8 equals chapter 9 equals chapter 11, and even going on into chapter 12. But 8, 9 and 11 are all dealing with the same vision, which is connected with the 2300-day prophecy and the 1260. So,
1335 days and 1843 days. So
yes.
Which are in Daniel 12, so again, it's the same time period.
Yes.
Oh, the vision is talking about Daniel chapter 8, 9, and 11.
Yes. They're all the same vision. They all go through the same material, the same history, but deal with different aspects of it. So the information that we're given now is just a magnification or more detail of the information that's already in Daniel chapter 8 and chapter 9.
You also mentioned that the robbers of our people shall fall at the end of the vision. And I was wondering, when is the end of the vision?
There are various end marks that you could mark. You could mark 1798 as an end. You could mark coming up to the second advent, or Daniel 12:1 as the end, which would probably be the final ultimate end. And Daniel 12:1 then takes you into Revelation, chapters between chapters 12 and chapter 17, where the woman where the woman rises up, and then she's brought down at the end. It's the kind of destruction of Babylon. Okay, I've got about 15 minutes. Okay, we're in verse 15. Verse 15.